Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we'll be taking a look at my brand new Rank 1 Shadow SEALEO in the Great League. I decided to pair it with a Metacham on the lead and a Dugong save switch to bait out the opponent's best Shadow SEALEO counter. This is not necessarily a team I'd recommend for making a final legend push, but I did have some decent success with it. The team did start off a bit slow with 2-2-3s, but it ended strong with a 5-0 and a 4-1. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and let's take a look at Shadow SEALEO in action. Hopping into the first match, we have a terrible lead Metacham into Trevenant, we save switch into Dugong, and we are immediately punished by a Bastiodon switch in. I do have access to Water Pulse, which does hit back for super effective damage, but unfortunately Dugong is not able to flip switch in this matchup. The Bastiodon clearly looks like they're planning on farming down and leaving with 100 energy, so I'm actually going to go for the Icy Winds. The main reason being, if I can double debuff them, then the inevitable flamethrowers that they'll throw on the Metacham will do significantly less damage. So we are able to get off both Icy Winds, they farm down, and now we come back in with Metacham, and we will absorb the damage. We did get a counter through, which is very nice, and because of that, I believe, yes, we're able to farm down, we don't take the second flamethrower, back in comes the Trevenant, but since we have an energy lead, we're able to get off this Ice Punch, and Ice Punch does a lot of damage onto Trevenant. We bring in the Shadow SEALEO, and the opponent responds with a Drapion. We'll let the first move through in case they do get the Crunch debuff. Crunch comes through, no debuff, but we definitely can survive one, and now we are going to start unloading body slams, and this is what can make Shadow SEALEO pretty deadly, is the Powder Snow body slam spam is absolutely unreal. We are going to start shielding up, and now we are just short of a second body slam, going for the first. Switch clock is almost up, we're going for the second, and now we're actually going to aggressively switch back into the Metacham to get an energy lead. Metacham comes back in, and the opponent throws energy on the Metacham. That is huge. We will 100% let that go. Sludge Bomb comes through. They bring back in the Trevenant. We almost get to the Ice Punch, but the opponent gets worried about the Ice Punch, and they throw a Seed Bomb. That works for me. We are going to trust in Shadow SEALEO. From here, Shadow SEALEO just has to shield up. We'll be able to Powder Snow down the Trevenant. We leave with the Body Slam. Body Slam will be taking out the Drapion, and despite being countered on the lead and countered on the swap, we are able to take the win. Hopping into the next match, and it's the Metacham Mirror. Since I have two Ice types in the back, I definitely have to stay in and just play out the lead. Unfortunately, there's a decent amount of lag, which you hate to see. I can survive any one move, so I'll let this go, but they actually bait with a power-up punch, so that is a very big no shield for me. And I am going to be going for the Psychic, as Psychic will be doing some big damage onto the opposing Metacham. This could be a boosted Psychic, which would hurt, but I do survive it. It is the boosted Psychic, that's unfortunate. And now I'm going to fire back with the Ice Punch. Ice Punch will not KO, but should put it into farm down range for the Dugong. We bring in the Dugong, and unfortunately they just get to a move. This should just be the power-up punch, and then they defer the Ice Shard onto the Sableye. But I have a pretty big energy lead over the Sableye, so I'll be able to debuff them right away. We are going to keep farming up here, and they get to a move before I do, but I'm actually expecting they will bait. So we call it, it's the foul play bait, we do survive, and we're able to get to another Icy Wind. Icy Wind does get them low, and Dugong able to farm down, that's huge. They bring in Diggersby. I don't want Diggersby to get a big energy lead, so I'm actually going to switch into the SEALEO. And this is a pretty solid matchup for SEALEO, so long as we don't get baited, which we just did get baited. That is unfortunate there. But again, here's where the body slam spam of SEALEO is going to be a huge help, as well as the Powder Snows. Powder Snows are absolutely chunking through this Diggersby, and we are almost at the back-to-back body slams. Going for the first, gets the shield, going for the second. This will be doing a nice amount of chip damage, and then after this, switch clock should be up, so I can bring back in the Metacham. They switch back in their own Metacham, they get countered down, they try and mud shot down with Diggersby, but that is too tall of an ask. Metacham able to reach the Ice Punch, we take out Diggersby, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, I'm thinking of a pretty good lead Metacham into Surfetch, and they're staying in, so they could be weak in the back to Metacham. I'm going to build up to the Psychic and go for the bait. The fact that they throw on 8 has me worried it's a Brave Bird. We shield it up, and it is the Brave Bird, so a very good shield. Ice Punch, after the defense drop, will take them out. They bring in Whiscash, so I am going to farm up to an Ice Punch, and now I'm going to save switch into Dewgong. Now, Dewgong does have a pretty safe matchup here because they can't really throw Blizzard since we are an Ice-Water type. They're forced to go for Mud Bombs, and we'll be able to debuff them with the Icy Wind, which will incentivize them to switch out. Go for the Icy Wind. What do they have in back? They have Umbreon. So now it makes quite a bit of sense as to why they did not want to switch out of the lead since they are double weak to Metacham. We are going to let that Foul Play go. That's not going to be doing a whole lot of damage. Switch Clock is coming up, and we're able to catch back onto the Metacham. That is very nice, and now we will have the Metacham aligned with the Umbreon, which definitely works out pretty well for us as we can safely tank a couple moves here since we have debuffed the Umbreon. That's fine. We're farming up, and now we do have the back-to-back Ice Punches loaded. First Ice Punch comes through, we get the shield, and the opponent switches back into the Whiscash, and honestly, I'm okay with letting this go. That is fine by me. We will come back into the Dewgong, and we can survive a Mud Bomb, not too worried about that there. And now we're going to be going for the Icy Wind, and Icy Wind will be doing a chunk of damage. We get the shield, and now we aggressively switch in the Shadow SEALEO. The opponent sees the writing on the wall, and they concede the match. All right, hopping into the next match. Again, we have the Metacham Mirror, and they safe switch into a Luxray, and this is so bad for me, as already they have 2 good responses to my back Pokemon. They go for Psychic Fangs. I'm farming up, and now I'm going to be going for the Ice Punch bait, hoping to get a shield. We do get the shield, and now I'm going to safe switch into the Dewgong. I will have to double shield Wild Charges here, which is unfortunate, but that should allow me to maintain switch advantage. They go for the first. That will be the second. And again, I'm trying to preserve health on the Dewgong if at all possible. So I have to double shield, and we go down. They come back in with the Metacham, but the Dewgong does have a nice amount of energy, so we will be able to help with debuffing the Metacham. Farming up, and able to get to a second Icy Wind. So now their attacks will be doing about half of what they were previously, which is very good for me. They're farming up a lot. Beautiful overfarm by the opponent, though they will probably be going for the Psychic here just to guarantee the KO. Psychic, and they snipe, and they have Dedenne in the back, so they have a double electric. This is absolutely terrible for me, as of course I am running double water. I should be able to survive 1 discharge, but not by much. We are going to be going for the Body Slam there. Body Slam does do a nice chunk of damage. We're able to get to another one, and from here I think I can get to an Ice Punch on Metacham. So we go for the Body Slam, we switch back in Metacham, we go for the Ice Punch, but we lose CMP to the Dedenne, and they get off the Play Rough. And unfortunately, the spicy double electric team is too much for a double water team to handle. Nidoqueen lead next game means a Dewgong safe switch, and this time we're able to bait out an Umbreon. And this is a pretty neutral matchup, which tells me that hopefully they do not have a hard punish in the back to a water ice type, which means that hopefully my Shadow SEALEO should have a lot of play in the end game. We are going to get off these Icy Winds as soon as we possibly can. The faster we get the debuffs, the better chance we have of potentially flipping the matchup. We will let this go. They are running Dark Pulse, which is a little unfortunate, as Dark Pulse does hit quite a bit harder than Foul Play. Going for the next one, and unfortunately we just don't get there. And now I'm not sure I can actually win back switch. So here, rather than try and go for switch, I'm actually going to aggressively switch into Metacham, see if we can catch them in the middle of a Snarl animation, which we can. We counter down, and we're able to win switch. The opponent switches back in their Nidoqueen, and this should just be a Poison Fang, so I'm not going to shield this, and we're going to be going for the Psychic Kill Shot. We're farming up, going for the Psychic, and the opponent does a really nice catch onto Jellicent. Now, Jellicent is actually a pretty big problem spot for this team, as actually the whole team does lose to Jellicent, so honestly, them catching a move on Jellicent is actually better for me here. They go straight Bubble Beam. We don't have to respect that. We'll be going for another Psychic, and the opponent lets it through. That's huge. Now I'm going to switch into the Shadow SEALEO and commit to the Powder Snow down. My guess is they'll go straight Shadow Ball, so I will commit the shield. They do go straight Shadow Ball, and now we're able to Powder Snow down. So we're down a shield, but Shadow SEALEO is absolutely loaded on energy. I'm not going to shield the first Poison Fang. Again, future damage will be doing a lot more, and now Nidoqueen gets to feel the wrath of Shadow SEALEO. Shadow SEALEO already at 2 more Body Slams, going for the first, gets the shield, going for the second. Now this will not take it out, but it will be getting it pretty low. And from here, ooh, they do get to another move. I am going to shield it up, and since my defense is now lowered by 2 stages, I probably can't farm down, but quick energy generation from Powder Snow. We're able to get to another Body Slam. That takes out the Nidoqueen, and that is a good game. All right, hopping into the next match. We have Metacham into Alolan Grimer. So a pretty cool pick. We are going to save switch into Dewgong, and the opponent is staying in, and they will be able to land this Crunch. But honestly, I'm okay with letting that go. We don't get the defense drop, which is very nice, and I overfarm by 1, and I'm going to be going for the Icy Wind. Icy Wind does land, the opponent switches out, and they have Defense Deoxys, so definitely good to bait out the counter user. Defense Deoxys is also another problem spot for this team, as technically all 3 Pokemon do have losing matchups. Fortunately, we are able to debuff it, and now we'll bring back in our very healthy Metacham to just absorb damage from the Defense Deoxys. That Thunderbolt still does hurt despite being 1 stage debuffed, which is unfortunate for us. They go for another Thunderbolt, and I'm farming up quite a bit of energy, and I'm actually going to go for the Psychic. Psychic does do slightly more damage than Ice Punch, and then the goal is I'm going to try and farm down. I will let this go. I should be able to survive it. It's the Psycho Boost, which we do live there. And going for the farm down, we are able to farm down, and we leave with a move. So we will be able to threaten the Alolan Grimer when it does come back in. We get the shield, and now it's Shadow Seal time. They get to a Crunch. I do have to shield this up and just hope they don't get the defense drop. Let's see what they have in back, and it's a Diggersby. Oh, hello, Diggersby. We're going straight for the Water Pulse right away. Water Pulse lands. That does big damage. And now from here, all we have to do is get to the back-to-back Body Slams, and it is a good game. We do a last-second shield, and we correctly call the Earthquake. So at this point, this game should be over. Shadow Seal, able to apply a ton of pressure. They let it go. They are trusting in the Grimer. And you know what? We're just going to keep farming up on Seal. Going for the Body Slam there. And we actually don't even need a second Body Slam, as the Powder Snow is enough to take it out. All right, Metacham into Shadow Swampert. This is not a fabulous lead for us. I'm going to farm up to 5, try and catch a Hydro Cannon onto Dewgong. Unfortunately, no such luck, but we do bait out Galarian Stunfisk, so that is pretty good to bait out here, as that way we will be able to significantly debuff it. Tough call to make. I could shield the first and try and make a play for Switch, but I think I would rather soft lose Switch and instead have it very low so I can farm it down with the Metacham to get an energy lead to throw at the Swampert. Again, we're farming up. 1 Rock Slide will not take us out from here, so we can safely tank that. That's fine. And we're actually going to aggressively switch back into the Metacham since they're debuffed, and we're able to catch a Rock Slide. That is very nice. And now they bring out a Skarmory. Skarmory actually doesn't have a too dominating of a matchup versus Metacham, as the counters are neutral and we can hit back with these neutral Ice Punches as well, even though Ice Punch isn't the strongest move ever. So Ice Punch comes through, and they do get off a move, and I will definitely let this go, as Sky Attack will be taking me out. We come back in with the Dewgong. You know what? We're going to go for the debuff while we're here, and then hopefully we'll be able to bring in the Seal. We get the shield, and now it's Seal time. We bring in the Seal. They are debuffed, so I'm actually going to let this go. They just go for the Sky Attack. They switch back in Swampert, and Swampert does have energy. I'm pretty sure they'll bait, so we call the Hydro Cannon. That's big, and now we do have to start to shield Hydro Cannons, but they are going to have a pretty tough time trying to Mud Shot down the Shadow Seal. And we farm up to the back-to-back Body Slams, and let's apply some pressure onto this Swampert. The first one gets shielded, going for the second one. Second body slam will be taking them out, and all they have left is the Galarian Stunfisk and shreds of Skarmory. They bring back in the Skarmory. We switch into Dewgong. We're able to farm them down. Back in comes G-Fisk. G-Fisk trying to Mudshot down. They're not able to get there. We reach the Icy Wind. Icy Wind takes out the G-Fisk, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, we have Metacham into Alolan Ninetales. We check the fast move, it's Charm, and we are in a lot of trouble here, as Charm Alolan Ninetales is another core breaker for the team, as obviously it hits Metacham for super effective while resisting the fast moves of my back two Pokemon. My only choice here is to bring in the Shadow SEALEO and spam out body slams. We're able to get a shield. The opponent tries to charm down, but that's where being a rank 1 Shadow SEALEO comes in clutch. We're able to reach another body slam and force both shields. I am going to wait my switch clock before I bring in Dewgong. In comes Dewgong. They reach a move, and Dewgong is pretty bulky, so I'm actually going to let this go, and my opponent actually baits me. And now they're going to switch into Swampert. I'm going to go for the Icy Wind, and then I'm going to bring back in Metacham, as I want to try and get some usefulness out of Metacham. We're going to bring in Metacham, and thanks to that attack drop, we should be able to survive 2 Hydro Cannons very easily, so I'm actually not going to shield the first one here, and let's see if we can commit to the farm down. I don't need to shield the second one either, so I am going to let this go. They will reach a third, so I will have to shield right here, but I'll be able to leave with a ton of energy, which should be able to hopefully threaten whatever they have in back, or the Ninetales if they bring that in. So we are pretty low here, and they have Galarian Stunfisk in the back, so potentially not shielding the Metacham may have been a mistake. We go for the back-to-back Ice Punches, but the opponent catches onto the Alolan Ninetales. Very nicely done. This will not KO. I have to switch into the Dewgong, and the opponent throws. They may have tried to throw the Weather Ball, which they did, which we're able to catch, and now we farm down. And from here, I'm thinking the win con has to be the Metacham. I need to lower their attack as quickly as possible. We're going for the Icy Wind, and then I'm just going to save the shield for my very low health Metacham and hope that it's able to clutch. We are going to let this go. We've lowered their attack. It's all up to Metacham. Metacham on such low health. Metacham on 1 HP, able to reach the Ice Punch. Ice Punch takes out the Galarian Stunfisk, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, we have Metacham into Shadow Nidoqueen. We are going to save switch into Dewgong, and we're met with a Scrafty. Definitely good to bait this out. Scrafty will be going straight for the power-up punches, of course, but I will be able to respond with the Icy Wind that is going to lower their attack right back down. Unfortunately, Icy Wind does not do a whole lot of damage to Scrafty here. We can survive this next power-up punch, which is pretty nice, so we'll let that through. And now we are going to be going for the Icy Wind to lower the attack, but I don't actually want to do a lot of damage. So I am going to slightly undercharge that. We're going to bring back in the Metacham and counter down. And if I undercharged correctly, this should only be a power-up punch. It is, and that is huge, as now we get extra energy on the Metacham, which is very nice. They bring back in Nidoqueen. We're going straight for the Psychic, trying to do maximum damage. Psychic is shielded. We'll wait for them to throw onto the Metacham, and then we can safely bring in Shadow SEALEO. Shadow SEALEO comes in, and they have a Lickitung in the back. So we need to spam these body slams as much as possible. Lickitung is extraordinarily beefy, and it has access to Power Whip, which will hit us for super effective damage. Although we have 2 shields, so they're almost assuredly going to double bait us, but we can't really risk getting hit with a Power Whip. We're just going to keep spamming out the body slams, although honestly, despite the fact that Lickitung is very bulky, we are still able to do a decent amount of damage. Little bit of lag there. We're going for the body slam. We're able to get to another one, and from here, if it won't KO, I'm going to try and snipe with Metacham. We snipe with the Metacham. We're able to take them out. Back in comes the Nidoqueen. We're able to reach an Ice Punch. Ice Punch should be taking out the Nidoqueen. Well, Ice Punch plus 1 counter, and that is a good game. Hopping into the final match, and it's the Metacham Mirror. As we know from earlier, there's no way we can switch out of this. We start desynced, and then there's a bunch of lag, and my opponent throws a move. I'm just at an Ice Punch, so I'm expecting it to be an Ice Punch, but it's a Psychic, so due to the lag, we lost a bunch of counters. This is absolutely terrible. I am going to be going for the Psychic. Psychic does land, which is very nice. I believe this should just be an Ice Punch. I'm hoping it is just the Ice Punch. That's good. And now I'm going to try and get to an Ice Punch of my own, which I am barely able to do. And now from here, I'm going to aggressively switch into the Dewgong. They shouldn't be able to reach a Psychic. They cannot, and they go down. But unfortunately, my happiness is short-lived as they have a G-Fisk in the back, and my Metacham is almost dead. We're able to get off an Icy Wind before they reach a move, which is huge. I'm going to shield the first. Since I snuck through an Ice Shard, I hope I can outpace them to the second, but I miscalculate. I cannot outpace them to the second, and I'm unwilling to leave my Shadow SEALEO without a shield. So I will tank the damage, and we're going to be going for another Icy Wind here. Icy Wind does get them pretty low. My switch clock is up, and we're able to catch on to the Metacham. That is absolutely huge. That way, again, we can save the shield. I'm going to be waiting my clock, and I'm going to bring in the Shadow SEALEO. Let's get ahead on energy. We bring in the Seal. We're farming up. They switch out, and they have Azumarill in the back. And despite the fact that Shadow SEALEO is an Ice Water type, and Azumarill is a Water Fairy type, Shadow SEALEO actually beats Azumarill in the 1 shield and the 2 shield just thanks to Body Slam spam. We're able to get both shields, which is very nice, and we can survive a Play Rough. Play Rough does do a decent amount of damage, but we are just going to keep farming up and applying a ton of pressure onto the Azumarill. Going for another Body Slam, and the Body Slams don't do a whole lot, but we're able to catch back onto the Dewgong. That is absolutely huge, and they were baiting with Ice Beam. They switch back in the Galarian Stunfisk to take out the Dewgong. That's fine with me, as I'm just going to farm it down with SEALEO. SEALEO able to farm down. We are still holding onto that shield, and we have a ton of energy. And now from here, the Body Slam spam is unrelenting onto Azumarill. Going for another one. This will be getting them into the red. The timer is coming up. Shadow SEALEO able to reach another Body Slam. So despite the lag in the beginning, missing those counters, we're able to get the win as time expires, and that is a good game. So all in all, I had a ton of fun running Shadow SEALEO. As I mentioned earlier, this is my first ever rank 1 Shadow Pokemon, and I'm so grateful it was SEALEO, as this thing was an absolute blast to run. I would say in the current open Great League meta, there's a lot of things like Metacham, G-Fisk, Bastiodon that are very hostile to it, but in something like a Great League Remix meta, I think it could absolutely dominate. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.